Hello, my name is Brandon Lee, and this is my presentation for the Disney project, the project number one, Disney Trip. So as we can see here, we can see the different options that you can take to transport. So the first option would be to take a car, which the total will come to $700 and 43 cents, or $43.68. Option two would be to fly with $1,568.93. And finally, if you feel like you don't want to take either, you can always take a bus for $1,246.79 total. Me personally, I would prefer to take the car, but we will cross that bridge once we get there. So as you can see, we have the flight options over here. Unfortunately, I cannot zoom in on the pictures, but these are the images that I used. So for flight costs, the total that I picked, that the only one was available, was between July 8th to July 10th. And the total came to $1,161.54. Unfortunately, they do charge bagging, so that came to roughly about $198 for 2 bags. And for the rental car, unfortunately, they couldn't display the hidden fees or anything like that, so they gave me an asterisk for it. So the total just came roughly around $209.39. As for a bus, if you really wanted to, it would pretty much be a couple of stops according to what the image that they gave me. Unfortunately, they said that the trip itself might differ, so unfortunately I couldn't give you a exact number, but this was the estimate and deal that they gave me. And that came to roughly 1,246 and 79 cents, as I mentioned. The hotel themselves, I was able to find a pretty decent hotel. I actually used my booking account, so this was a deal they would give me, but I was able to log out and tinker with it. And so the deal they gave me was 46.2, and once I was able to crunch up the numbers and do the taxes and all that, the total came to $519.75. Now, as for the food, this was a little interesting because, as the chart shows, we have a low, medium, and high budget, but it only goes up to 4 people. So I had to tinker with the numbers, and with this, I was pretty much adding one of each day. So for the 3 days, we would have a low budget dining for one day, a medium budget dining for one day, and going all out high budget for another day, making a total of 3 days. So what I did was I took the 4 people, so I would do, for low budgeting, I did 100 plus 25, since one person would cost $25, and made it 125. And then I did the same thing for medium budget and high budget, and that gave me the total of roughly about $1,300. Now, the tickets themselves nearly gave me a heart attack, because once I saw that there was a pretty decent ticket for saying that if the whole family wanted to go to all the amusement parks but didn't need the water parks, the prices themselves for per adult was $560.73. And then for one child, it'd be $271.57. And since there were 2 adults and 3 kids, plus including tax of $125.85, the total came to $2062.02, which to me is truthfully terrifying. And some miscellaneous things that people would probably bring. And so for this family, I thought they would probably get souvenirs, because having a family of 3 kids, being 2, 4, and 8, they're probably going to want to buy something, because let's be real, it's Disney World. And then with the emergency funds, I thought if, God forbid, they got into a car accident or something like that on their way for driving, or something happens, they happen to be short, they have an extra $2,000 buffer just in case things get a little dicey. And unfortunately, I couldn't think of a third option, so this only applies if they're driving. Snacks and drinks, because sometimes going out to getting food at like a gas station or something like that, it can build up, unfortunately, especially with nowadays. So the total in general would be $2,500, but if they were driving, I would call it close to $2,700. As we can see with the chart here, I decided to, as I mentioned, travel by car. And so that would cost pretty much 37% of the whole thing, whereas 10% would lead to food, or I'm sorry, travel by car. The miscellaneous would actually be the 37%, which seems a lot, but it's better to have emergency funds than none. And then the food themselves would be 7%. The tickets themselves would be the second highest with 28%, and then the room and board would be 18%. Now, with all that fine and dandy, then comes the savings. So the bank I decided to go to was Varo Bank with a 5% APY. And the required monthly deposit based on the math that I was able to come up with was $327.99. And with that comes the total amount deposited by Carol over 24 months. So I did $327.99 times 24 months, and it gave me $7,871.76. And with the interest, I was able to crunch up the numbers, which gave me $388.97. And instead of typing it all in, I pretty much just made it easy. So I showed the saving account balance per month, each time added, and then the formula below it to pretty much give you a rough count on how it would look. So since Carol had nothing in the first month, I pretty much did $327.99 plus the 5%, thus giving me $329.36. And then with month 2, I was able to take $329.36 and then add the $327.99, and then also apply the 5%. And with that, here's my works cited. And unfortunately, it is in small font, so I apologize in advance, but thank you so much for watching.